Hello. Today we will continue reading in the book from Navin Gupta about Babaji in the court. Go ahead,
Babaji
Navin.
triumphs. Chapter 26. Babaji sat in the jeep, and Ramkumar, Shama, and I clambered in. En route, we saw hundreds of people marching towards Haldwani. Everywhere were chants of Boli Baba Ki Jai. When we reached Haldwani, we saw that the public had assembled in even greater numbers than the day before. People were sure that the moment of truth would arrive that day. Babaji entered the court before the clock struck 10 and sat on the same chair he had occupied the previous day. The police had been deployed in full force, and there was an air of suppressed excitement inside the courtroom too. The SDM rose from his chair and went to Babaji and said, "I request you again not to think that I am insulting you. I am questioning you on public demand." Babaji inclined his head graciously without speaking. The SDM shot his first question of the day at Babaji. "How old are you?" 131 years, replied Babaji calmly. There were murmurs of surprise that soon died out when the SDM voiced his next query. "Where are your parents?" "We have no parents," said Babaji. The SDM then asked him about the status of his education. Babaji informed him that he had none. The SDM rephrased his question. "What is the level of your knowledge?" "We have knowledge of the 4 Vedas," said Babaji. There was a short pause when the SDM said, the complainant has alleged that you also have a wife and children." Babaji rubbished the charge. "We have neither a wife nor any children. If they exist, tell the complainant to bring them in front of us." The SDM then asked, "Maharaj, how did you acquire this disputed land?" It was a question that linked Babaji to the old Hirakan Baba. Babaji proceeded to explain. He said that in the middle of the land, which is now belonged to his ashram, there was a cluster formed by huge people, bananian and kadamb trees. We were doing penance there in 1922. In those days, the area was heavily forested. The British commissioner of Nainital and his wife were wandering in the woods and came upon us. He told us that his wife and he did not have any children and prayed to us to bless him with a child. We gave him our blessing. After some time, a son was born to them. He came to us after the birth of his son and said, "Maharaj, by your grace we now have a child, and my wife and I would like serve you in some way. Please let me know of some service that I can perform for you." Babaji told the court that he had smiled at the commissioner and said, We want some land for an ashram here. He said that the commissioner had immediately issued orders asking his subordinates to investigate the status of the land, and over time had allotted 35 bighas of land to him. The SDM interrupted Babaji at this point. But the land over which Maharaj is in dispute is 53 bighas. Where did the rest of the land come from? The villagers gave us the rest of the land, replied Babaji. The court then studied the land records and found that Babaji's entire statement was indeed true. The party that had filed the case was unable to counter this and made no response. The SDM pronounced, "We believe that you are Hirakan Baba. If the opposing party does not agree, it should provide proof." Bole Baba Ki Jai. Next chapter.
Okay. Chapter 27. People waiting anxiously for the verdict outside erupted in cheer as soon as it became known. Celebrations broke out. All of Haldwani reverberated with chants Bole Baba Ki Jai. The atmosphere at the ashram was jubilant. Drums were beaten and people converged to Kadgaya ashram from all directions. Babaji, however, had had enough after returning from the court. He retreated in his room to rest. Devotees kept questioning me about the courtroom drama, and I happily narrated the whole tale, telling them how boldly Babaji had responded in the court. At around 3 p.m., some journalists came to the ashram and approached Panti saying, "We want to talk to Babaji about today's incident in the court." Panchi replied that Babaji was resting. "You will have to wait." He then called out to me and introducing me to them said, "Vijay, when Babaji gets up, please take these people to him." One journalist took charge of the formalities. "My name is Padmadut Pant," he announced. "I am from Sandesh Sagar. This is Lalit Kishore Pandey. He is from the Uttarayan newspaper." The duo were accompanied by a bank manager who appeared to be a devotee and also bore the surname Pandey. Soon after, I went to Babaji and found him sitting quietly on his asan, lost in thought. I gave him some water and waited until he had finished drinking it. Then I told him there were some journalists outside wanting to meet him. He was silent for a moment and finally sighed and said, "Call them in." I brought the journalist into the room and shut the door. Bank manager Pandey had also come in with them. The journalist opened attack almost immediately. "You have hurt the religious sentiments of people by claiming that you are Hedikan Baba. There is a massive confusion among the public. You have hurt the faith of religious people with all this scandal. If you are the same Haider Khan Baba whose miracles are well known, then show us some miracles too." Caught up in this diatribe, Sandesh Sagar's Padmadut Pant was not ready to listen to anything Babaji had to say. He did all the talking himself. "If you are Babaji Harikan, then you should perform some miracles, so that the faith that the public has lost is restored and the sadhus who are accusing you of hypocrisy are silenced." Babaji finally managed to get a word in. Keep faith, everything will be alright. It was thoroughly I was thoroughly annoyed by Padmadut Pan's behavior, but kept my mouth shut. He continued to insist that he wanted to know the truth about Babaji. When I go from here, my article will be your inspiration rather than mine. If you do not tell me the truth about yourself, I will give up my life right here at your feet. Babaji reiterated that he should be patient. Everything will be revealed in time, he said, but Panchi had started hitting his head. I noticed Babaji's face turning red with anger. He shut his eyes and suddenly Padmadut Pant screamed and cried out, Please stop, Maharaj, and fled the room, and the ashram was seen running in the direction of Haldwani. His screams had scared us all. It had shaken his two companions to the point that they quickly bowed to Babaji and beat a hasty retreat. I, as I escorted them out of the room, I was accosted by the overpowering sight of an immense gathering waiting patiently for Babaji's darshan. I went back to the room to apprise Babaji of the latest situation. I noticed that his eyes were still red and quailed at the task at hand, but nevertheless manfully broke the news to him. He did not look particularly pleased, but indicated that he was ready to give darshan. The queue was endless, and devotees started trickling into the room one by one. I stationed myself at the end of Babaji's seat while Chetram stood at the other, and we set aside garlands and fruits offered to him. The line of devotees remained unbroken even after 2 hours. We finally called a halt and told the rest of the devotees to wait outside. It was time for Babaji's bath. He resumed giving darshan after his ablutions, and then it was time for his meditation. That night he didn't come out of his room. When I went to him with a glass of warm milk, he remarked that he didn't know why people came in search of miracles only to run off when they saw one. He then indicated that he wanted to rest. I nodded and left him in peace. I also lay down on the ground and fell asleep almost immediately. It was a peaceful and welcome slumber, and Babaji woke me up the next morning. The day started with the usual round of chores. Preparations for the Mahayagya for Navaratri had begun at Kadgaria. Devotees from Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, and Bombay were coming for the festival. Arrangements were made in schools to lodge the outstation devotees. Locals came forward to assist in the groundwork for the Mahayagya. Ghee, sugar, money, and all kinds of provisions had started pouring in. Babaji refused to touch money and asked me to handle it. Panji was excellent as he saw the ashram prospering. In the midst of all these arrangements, I spotted a journalist, Padmadut Pant. He had come to Panchi, the ashram priest, with a bundle of newspapers. Babaji was in meditation at that time. I was sitting next to Panchi when Padmadut greeted him. The elderly priest smiled and teased him gently. What did you think of Babaji's miracle? Padmadut blinked and hung his head in shame. He said he wanted to meet Babaji. So I went to Babaji's room and saw he had risen from meditation. He smiled slightly and asked, Did I do something wrong yesterday? You've been very angry since last evening. No, Birju, he said. What's the situation outside? I informed him of Padmadut Pan's presence. He's waiting outside with a bundle of newspaper. He wants to meet you. Show him in, said Babaji. The newspaperman entered the room with the ashram priest and looked very attentive. He flattened himself at Babaji's feet and started sobbing. Babaji was trying to call him. Get up, Panchi. These things happen. I held him to his feet, but his tears wouldn't stop. He placed the bundle of newspapers at Babaji's feet and went back to Haldwani. I opened the bundle and took out a newspaper. Babaji said, Tell us what it says. I started reading Panchi's article aloud. It was full of the rise of Harakan Baba. A huge smile broke out on Babaji's face. I could see that. He was usually entertained. I must say that it was quite riveting. It began with the following words. The appearance of ever young immortal form of Shiva Bhagwan Harakan Wali Baba had a special message for the people. Padmadut Pant narrated his initial encounter with Babaji and admitted at the outset he had believed that Babaji was a simple mountain boy in the clutches of an unscrupulous group of people who wanted to present him as Harakan Baba to con the public. He described what he had seen when Babaji had shut his eyes. I told Babaji forcefully that I would only go after I learned the truth, that what my pen wrote would be inspired by him and not by me. Tell us the truth, I said. At this point, Babaji shut his eyes, and after that, what I saw was indescribable. When I saw a radiant, many headed deity, I became soaked in sweat and tears began to flow from my eyes. I said, Please stop, Maharaj. I opened the door and came out, based on what I witnessed and experienced. I'm giving his message. Keep faith. Babaji was extremely entertained and once again remarked that he did not understand why people wanted to see miracles when they couldn't withstand the sight of them. Soon it was time for Babaji to meet the public. I accompanied him out of the room and distributed the copies of the newspapers amongst devotees, who devoured the article eagerly. Kirtan began after the day's work. Many outstation devotees had arrived that day, including Lakshmi Narayani and his family, Shraddhanandi, Pulchand Tiwari, Sri Amalok Chand Jain, and a large number of devotees from Jaipur. Nantilal Vaidya of Delhi, Nanak Chand Gupta ji, Shambhari Gorji Chandi Bihari, Mohanlal Vaijayi, and my mother and brother Shiv Charanaji with his family. They all cornered me and questioned me about the court case. Ashwin Navaratri was scheduled to begin 4 days later. Sri Vishnu Dutt Shastri was due to arrive the next day. We all believed that the goddess Saraswati spoke through him. This was an influx of local devotees, and as the dispute had been resolved, the SDM finally decided to dispense with police presence in the ashram. He, however, left 2 policemen behind for security. Thanks to the local dailies, news of Babaji's appearance spread like wildfire through the entire region of Kumaon and also percolated across the rest of the country. It opened floodgates. Suddenly, we were inundated with devotees from all parts of India, and people of all religious dominations started to visit ashrams. Residents of Haldwani also converged in large numbers, and there was a definite hum in the air. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I want to hear more about the fundraising part.
You mean the fundraising here in Poland Ashram? Yes, thank you. That's a good question. We would like to gather funds to make this ashram for the next generation. We started here as a mixed place. It means a family house and an ashram, and gradually we would like to make this place in an ashram completely. It will take some time, and any kind of donations of you is welcome. Um, we can light a candle for you in the little temple here, and we can do on your request a fire ceremony for your well-being. And we had some nice ideas also. One of our devotees said maybe it's good to make a kind of international library with books from all religions, from all schools of philosophy, so that when people come here, they can study. Except for spiritual practice, they can study and learn about other cultures and other religions.
Thank you for sharing. Because this is the only ashram in Poland.
Yes and no. There was a ashram started in the hills near Wrocław, Złoty Stok, but it is inactive. And here, gradually, there's interest growing. At this moment, we have a student from China, which is very diligently helping to develop the place. And also, mm, we have a kind of mixed place. It means you can stay here for the night. You can join the artis and the meditations in the temple. You can learn also about how to meditate, how to do karma yoga, how to do social service, and would like to expand our activities, and that's why we, from everyone who likes this thought, give a little thing and come by one day. Mogę powiedzieć też po polsku, to proszę nam popierać. My jesteśmy ashram w Landskrona, taki miejsce na same szczyt Landskrona pod zamkiem i bardzo chcemy tu ten miejsce utrwalić do następnych pokoleń. Jako miejsce, gdzie ludzie mogą się uczyć medytacji, mogą się pozbyć swoim niewygodności, mogą się dobyć wiedzy i różne inne dobre sposoby na samorozwój.
A pan Francis gotuje też pyszne ajurwedyjskie jedzenie dla zdrowia i może potrzebujemy waszego wsparcia, żeby, jak to się mówi, upowszechniać pokój. I Polska teraz tego bardzo potrzebuje, bo szczególnie co się dzieje u sąsiadów, ale też na całym świecie. Takie miejsce pan Francis uczy nie tylko w polityce, ale w codziennym życiu, jak rozpowszechniać pokój, miłość i prostotę. I to przywilej mamy odwiedzić ashram tuż blisko w Krakowie, w Landskoronie.
Tak, witamy każdy, który jest zainteresowany. Jesteśmy organizacja niepolityczna, niereligijna, ponadreligijna i bardzo popieramy rozwój każdej osoby, która idzie do nas.
William nas wspiera z ashram z Holandii, a ja też miałam przywilej odwiedzić ashram w Indiach i tą wiedzę możemy czerpać w Polsce teraz. To jest niesamowite. Ja nie mogę uwierzyć w to, jak przyjechałam odwiedzić ashram i was też zachęcam do tego, żeby odwiedzić, bo to jest bardzo piękne miejsce i zapraszamy. Piękne doświadczenie.
So dziękuję. And what would you like to add, William? Why can you maybe tell something why it is good to have an ashram in Poland and maybe tell your part in it, something of the history?
Well, you can say an ashram is an oasis. It's a place where you can refresh yourself in different ways: physical, mental, spiritual, and be more yourself. This is the goal of an ashram, and there are practices for this. There is a arti, a light ceremony and singing. There's meditation, etc., and it all helps to enlighten your life. And it is a place where you can work together and learn how to work together. And this is a light which will spread to wherever you go. So I think it's very important to have an ashram with this idea to spread truth, simplicity, and love in action. And I experienced here in Holland also. We are at the moment, we have a full house, and the atmosphere is very nice. We have not only we have some yoga people, we have some people who are connected to a Swami in India who recently died, and we have also some group of fraters. This means a group of a community of Catholic how you call it, what is the good word, a Catholic brotherhood. So we have and they can go along together. It goes along very well together, in despite of which religion they are. So this is the goal of the ashram, to establish humanity among the people, to have truth, simplicity, and love.
We have an opportunity to create a brighter future together internationally. And you can also experience this in person in Poland. Um, and we hope we will see Ashram grow more and blossom.
Yes, it's a working together. You could see it. You could say it's a school. It's a school where you learn how to develop your higher self and how to overcome your doubts, your weakness, your self doubt and tendency which you would like not to have. We all have a higher self and lower self, and the knowledge how to develop your higher self is of extreme importance. Also, I can say what I love most about Babaji's teaching, that it is universal. Um, it's not Hinduism, it's not Buddhism, it's not Christianity, it is not it respects all religions, but it's also Babaji was preaching beyond religions, to be human, to be well-hearted, good-hearted, and to have the skills to get daily rid of your stress and your doubts and your worries. That is a good thing. These things can be learned also beyond religion. Uh, it's a matter of practice. Practice, you can develop a higher state of your mind and your heart. Keep the love in your heart also when it is difficult. Keep a clear mind so that you can tackle the problems and stay out of problems and help others to tackle their problems.
Love to all religions and our higher self.
Yes, that's right. Okay, then. Thanks, our listeners. Thanks, Ilona and William. And we'll see people next time.